Hi everybody, I'm back today to talk to you about getting feedback or advice on your fantasy or sci-fi novels, and also stay tuned to the end of the video to hear the winner of the giveaway that I hosted 2 weeks ago. So what I'm talking about today may not be the most groundbreaking suggestion in the world of writing and getting feedback or advice on your work, but I do feel like at least one of the things that I have to say may be something that not many people have really considered when it comes to getting that feedback or that advice that they may need on some aspect of their novel. Now, as far as today's topic goes, have you ever had a moment where you wonder how you can find someone to give you some sort of feedback or advice on your novel, and you just kind of come up short with answers? Well, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to try and give you a few suggestions on finding someone that can give you valuable information or input on your piece of work. One of the first things that I can talk about is simply finding a critique partner. Now, where can you find a critique partner? You can find them if you're part of a writing group, you have any sort of writer friends, online or in person. You can also find them through social media, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. There are always people out there looking for critique partners, and some other writers actually have regular things set up to help others find critique partners. Now, if this doesn't sound like your cup of tea and you don't like the idea of exchanging work regularly for critiques with a partner, you could always just look for a writing buddy. Find someone that you can talk to about writing and maybe just bounce ideas off of. Aside from critique partners or writing buddies, you can also look for teachers or mentors that you've had in the past when it comes to writing. I myself have taken a few creative writing classes at the college, and I know that some of those professors would be more than willing to read my work if I asked them to. Now, someone like this may not always have the time to read through your work depending on their own jobs, their own writing, their family, etc. But it is a good resource to have and to keep in mind when it comes to trying to find someone to give you some feedback on your work. And because they're probably a writer themselves, the one thing that most writers seem to have in common is that we love writing, and we like to talk about writing, and we like to write about writing, and make videos about writing. So don't discount that if you have any past teachers or mentors. There may be other avenues for you to pursue as far as finding someone to read your work in progress and to get that feedback that you're looking for. But the main thing that I'm going to talk to you about today is actually looking for people that maybe aren't writers to get feedback from. Not writers? What are you talking about, Sadie? That doesn't make any sense. Well, stay with me here for a minute. Some people that you could talk to get feedback about your writing are either readers, because they're the people that read these books that we're writing. So they could give you some sort of feedback. If they primarily read fantasy novels or sci-fi novels, why not go to them to ask them for their input? Or maybe the person that you ask for input from isn't actually a reader either. Maybe they simply watch a lot of fantasy or sci-fi shows and movies. They could also give you input. If this is something that they watch regularly, or if it's a reader and they read it regularly, there are certain themes that they are going to start to notice in these pieces of work. And it's something they could try to give you input on for your own work, because it's something that they have encountered so many times. Now, someone else that may be able to give you the input that you're looking for, that may not be another writer, and maybe they're not necessarily much of a reader either, and I cannot stress this enough, gamers. Gamers can give you some wonderful advice when it comes to your fantasy or sci-fi novels. Now, the reason for this is because when you stop and think about it, many of the games out there today, the video games, the board games, the tabletop games, the role-playing games, etc., they have their own storylines. Not all the players necessarily get too into the storylines, but there are plenty that do, and may even create their own stories for a character that they've created or an army that they've created. And while I know that the term gamers is primarily used for people that play video games, I'm using it as a broad term here for anyone that plays any of these games on a regular basis. A few of these gamers that you could try to keep an eye out for would be people that play things like World of Warcraft, Warhammer, or D&D. And if you don't know what D&D stands for, it stands for Dungeons & Dragons. It's a role-playing game, and these players could give you some great input on an idea that you have or something that you've written, at least when it comes to the fantasy stuff. Because most people that play D&D, if they're the dungeon master, they're creating an entire campaign for their players. And a lot of people get really into it, and it gets really in-depth. And even the players create elaborate backstories for their character and how they ended up where they are, or why they are the way they are. I myself had something that I was stuck on with my current work in progress, and I didn't really have any writers to talk to at the time because I wasn't as immersed in the writers on Instagram and YouTube. And so I asked someone that I knew gamed a lot. They've played World of Warcraft before. They dabbled a little with D&D, and then they play things like Warhammer and plenty of other video games. And they have read plenty of fantasy in the past, even if they haven't in the past few years. And they were able to give me advice and actually help me create a huge part of my novel. It was a big piece that I was missing that I desperately needed as far as some of the backstory. Now, this may sound like an odd concept to you, but I beg of you to give it a try. Give the gamers a try. If you need advice, you need input, there's some piece of your story that just is not quite right or it's missing something, ask a gamer and they may be able to help you out. On to the results of the giveaway. Now, because I'm such a small-time author tuber still, I only had 2 people enter my giveaway. So you know what? Fuck it. Both of you get a prize from this giveaway. And thank you so much for entering the giveaway and making the comments that I asked you to make in order to enter. And for those of you that didn't enter, I've got my eye on you. So that's all I have for you today. And if you'd like to be notified when I upload new videos in the future, please hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to follow me on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sadie McEwen. Thank you for watching today, and until next time, click. Oh my God, Becky, look at her dice. There are just so many of them. She looks like one of those gamers' girlfriends. But, you know, who understands those gamers anyway? They only talk to her because she looks like a total nerd. Who, me?